Hello and welcome back to my channel. These are my late thoughts on Good Girls, the NBC show that just recently got cancelled. So first off, I want to say that the series did not get cancelled because of Manny Montana. Netflix is probably never going to be the safe haven for Good Girls. We got played by Twitter and it just didn't work out. So the 5th season of Good Girls was going to start filming of spring in 2022. The season was going to be composed of 8 episodes. So already off the bat, the season wasn't going to be a full season, and for NBC, that doesn't look very good because NBC traditionally does 24 episodes or a 12-episode season. Now, for a final season, it is acceptable to have less episodes in a season, but it's not really a good start. You can also tell that season 4 wasn't meant to be its last season. Season 4 was a build-up and it was supposed to lead into season 5. Season 4 was setting the stage so that Beth could actually be in charge, and it was weighing the possibility of Nevada actually being a viable option for the family. And at the end of season 4, we see that Nevada isn't an option for all of them, but for some of the characters. In the season 4 finale, we see that Beth isn't ready to have Nevada. She isn't ready to give up this kind of crime life. And I think that's really interesting, to have that be the season 4. That's why I don't think they were expecting the show to be canceled. Beth's arc wasn't complete yet because she still wanted to put herself in these high-risk positions and to continue to endanger herself and her family. I think the series overall was pretty good. Season 4 was not Vic's best season, but I can't blame it entirely on season 4 because I do think that they expected to be renewed for a season 5 or at least some type of more closure. And at the end of the finale, you can kind of tell, I think, that they're trying to play both sides of like, oh, this might be our last episode, so we gotta tie up loose ends really quickly, and then on the other side of that, leave enough opportunity for our original plan of having that 8-episode season 5. However, there are some problems that Good Girl does have, and I want to talk about and address some of those issues. So, I'm in my early 20s. I could not relate to Annie's character at all. She just made me think of like every 20 to 30-year-old character in a TV show and a cable network television series. There's nothing original about her, in my opinion. And there's no shade to the actress that plays her. I love her. I love seeing her in Parenthood. I love other projects that she's been a part of. But Annie, I just did not like the character. I could not relate to her. She also felt distant from the rest of the cast members. I will say this, that I do admire her relationship and her commitment to her child, Ben, her son. And I think I liked that storyline development. The next thing that bothered me was the way they wrote Ruby's character. She always did whatever Beth wanted her to do. I don't know if that was intentional or what, but at times, and very generalized, it came off as Black Mammy trope. You can look into that trope and just kind of see that for what it is. Because this show caters to Beth's lifestyle and her family, more so than Ruby or Annie even. Annie's the sister, so I think that has a different dynamic. But Ruby's had to give up way too much for Beth and for Beth's family, instead of focusing on her and her own family. A nice thing that I think they did for Ruby was, since it was the series finale, was at the end, you can see that Ruby starts packing a bag, and so it is presumed, you can make the assumption that she chooses her own family rather than to stay for Beth and to help her in her situation. Like, she, for once, or for, when it mattered, she chose her family, because Ruby does take care of her family. I'm not saying she doesn't, but the relationship between Beth and Ruby is toxic and not healthy. It's very odd. I do want to add, I really do like the dynamic that was brought forth in season 4 between Ruby's husband and Beth. I thought that was a very interesting dynamic, and I had wished that they would have played that out more, or perhaps like better. Like, I think if we would have gotten like an actual change in the friendship rather than Ruby just going automatically back to Beth, if like their deal had actually worked for even just like one episode of Beth and Ruby hadn't spoken for one episode, and then just kind of seeing that shift in their relationship. With that, I do think that Beth is a good character. You have characters like Tony Soprano, Walter White, Marty Byrde, and then you have Villanelle from Killing Eve. Villanelle is able to embody all the characteristics of those male characters, you know, that wanted money and power, that had to struggle and all that, and I think Killing Eve is written so beautifully well. Beth is another version of those characters, and you can argue even a more closer version to those men than Villanelle. Now, I do want to say, while I'm comparing the two characters slightly, the shows Killing Eve and Good Girls are very different shows, and their focuses are very different. Killing Eve talks a lot about psychopathy and psychology, and like it's a whole different premise, but I want to say that the character development is slightly there, and then just the way, like the predecessor type of thing, okay? Good Girls is most likely trying to talk about feminism and feministic ideology. That was their approach that they took to the show, and that was the approach that they took in Beth. If comparing it to Breaking Bad, for example, they reversed the roles, so Beth would be Walter White, and then Beth's husband would be Skyler. Beth very much so demasculates her husband, and I think that's a very interesting concept, and it's interesting that NBC chose to kind of portray that out. And similar to Walter White was incredible at what he did, and he knew how to do it and what to do with it. Beth is the same way. She knows what to do, she's good at it, and she likes doing it, and they both have the same type of thing of we're doing it for the family. Even in the finale, I thought for a brief moment that they were trying to like mirror Breaking Bad's finale, but then Good Girls did that whole dream hallucination sequence thing, and I was like, oh, never mind. So thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe. It would really help the channel out.